A small number of roads in the forest are designated as single-track roads with passing spaces. In order for these roads to function effectively, you need to know that the passing spaces are long enough for 3 cars, or 1 car with a caravan. The spaces are typically on alternative sides of the road. When you reach a passing space, you should check the road in front and see if there are oncoming cars. If there are, then you should wait for those cars to pass before you can move on. Problems can occur when someone fails to stop at a passing space. The only solution in this case was for me to reverse to the previous space. Luckily at that stage there was no one behind me, and so it was possible, if time-consuming. Thank goodness there were a few people on the road that day who understood how to behave on a single-track road, and waited for the oncoming traffic to arrive. By this stage we had become a group of 3, so I had to move as far forward as I could on every space to allow the oncoming traffic to pass us safely. As you can see, this single-track road was very busy on this day, probably due to sat-navs diverting traffic away from the A31, without realizing quite how narrow this road is. There always has to be one though. He must have been able to see us when he passed the space, but still decided it was his right of way. I encouraged him to back to the passing space to allow our group of 3 cars to pass. He managed to back a couple of feet, and then obviously decided that backing that far was beyond his driving abilities, and so the only way to progress was to push past us. Luckily he was a small car, and so managed to pass without damaging our vehicles. After that, the leapfrogging worked pretty well, and the journey was accomplished without further incident. However, it did take 16 minutes to travel just 2 miles. So if you are travelling on a single track road, please remember the 3-car rule.